Gotta keep moving.
There really aren't that many games about time travel. There are lots of games featuring time travel as a tool or a plot device, but there aren't many that explore its implications or highlight the science on which it's based. Which is odd, because time travel is a fascinating subject that's rich in theoretical conundrums. Happily, Remedy Entertainment, creators of the underappreciated Alan Wake and over-the-top neo-noir Max Payne 1 and 2, is remedying this with its upcoming third-person story shooter, Quantum Break. The premise is this. Paul Serene, who's played by Aidan Littlefinger Gillen, has created a device that is capable of generating a localised black hole. The gravity well of this black hole is such that when you move within a certain proximity, time and space become one and the same, and so to move through physical space is to also move through time. To demonstrate this to long-term friend and Quantum Break's protagonist Jack Joyce, played by Sean X-Men Ashmore, Serene programs the machine to take him 2 minutes back in time, but just before he enters the chamber, his future self from 2 minutes hence steps out the machine, having already used it to travel back in time 2 minutes.
This path, it's already said it can't be changed. The past, the future, I've seen it.
This and another early reveal concerning the shady Monarch solutions is exactly the kind of time travel scenario that's just complicated enough that it seems like it could make some plausible sense, if your brain would stop hurting long enough to be able to figure it out. Still, there's little time to be thinking too hard about theoretical physics, as you're soon thrust into the thick of the action after the story-focused first act depicts the inevitable moments where things start to go a little bit wrong.
Getting you involved is the last thing I wanted.
Where is he? Where's my brother?
Clearly nothing good comes with messing with black holes, and so now time is officially broken. This has left Paul Serene and Jack Joyce with time manipulation powers, and for reasons to be explored, the two old friends are soon set against one another. Playing as Joyce, your powers are unveiled in a quick succession and include the vanilla time vision, time dodge and time stop, as well as more familiar gunplay. The layout of many of the environments suggests Quantum Break should be played as a cover-based shooter, but in reality you only need to dive into cover when you're low on health. Outside of this, it's all dashing to and from enemies, freezing time to stack damage, and creating a stasis shield to give yourself some breathing room while the cooldown timers of your powers recharge. Combat is empowering. You're effectively a superhero after all, but throughout the first 4 acts of the game you rarely feel overpowered as groups of enemies work together to take you down. You're encouraged to make canny use of your powers in combination with one another to get close to enemies, rather than become over-reliant on sticking to cover and taking pot shots from afar. Combat in the opening hours of the game is entertaining, although the light puzzle sections that revolve around time manipulation do feel more contrived. They ask you to suspend your disbelief that some objects are susceptible to your powers, while the vast majority are not. Like Jack Joyce, Paul Serene has also been granted time powers, but his include the ability to glimpse outlines of events that will take place in the future. It's this ability that fuels Quantum Break's junction points, moments throughout the story where you'll have to make a choice that will affect both the live action show and future gameplay options. This provides the key to how the game and the live action show will intersect. At the end of the first chapter of gameplay, you briefly take control of Paul Serene and have to make a choice on how to deal with events concerning Monarch solutions, which essentially comes down to whether you take the hard line against their public detractors or instead try to win them over with charm offensive and a slick PR campaign.
Convince the witnesses not to talk, keep eyes on them and send them home.
The choices you make with Serene directly affect the fate of certain characters in the show, who can then become important NPCs later in the game or be missing from it entirely. The show itself looks to have been produced to a reasonable standard and crucially doesn't feel like the whole thing is just a live action cutscene. This is in part thanks to decent acting from a very recognisable cast.
USB stick from the Monarch security station.
But the eyewitnesses would be out there.
Quantum Break represents a bold step for Remedy Entertainment and a high-profile console exclusive for Microsoft. It may have suffered with numerous delays during its development, but it could yet turn out to be worth the long wait. For more on Quantum Break, stick with IGN.
Joyce.